What's going on, guys, and welcome back to our Surviving Java series in the new year. Yep, not too sure why I started flying then. Now, ignore the outfit. I don't know why I've got this skin on. It was just one out the 20 that I had to pick out of, and I chose to wear this one. But to start the new year off, I thought that we need to tackle a big problem, and that is obviously not the elephant in the room, which is clearly the horses, but the horses are staying there for the time being. But the problem is our storage system. Now, our storage system is now compromising of mainly shulkers ending up inside of chests, just so I've got enough room to store everything. And that is really sort of starting to grow old on me, because each time I want something, I'm having to then go into a chest to then get a shulker out and then get the items out of the shulker. Which, yeah, after a while it does tend to grow a little bit old on you, because as you can see, I've got tons upon tons of shulkers within boxes, and it is like, it's everywhere that I need stuff, and it's so tedious having to get stuff out of my storage system at the point. So I have spent some time in a test world and creating a really big, over-the-top storage system that will store everything and anything to our heart's content, and it is I've allowed it to be future-proof in the aspect that there's more than enough room to store other things in. Excuse me. Now, I know that I've not shown this area on camera, but obviously when the new world gen sort of kicked in, underneath our base we have actually had a massive big cavern spawn, which I am planning on turning into a sort of lush cavern after the fact, but this is the area that I'm going to be using, and even with the area as big as it is, I'm going to be having to dig down the majority of it by around about 15 to 20 layers, which is going to take a very, very long time. So I'm not too sure at what sequence or what order this episode is going to be going out in. If there's going to be one before this, I have no idea. It depends on how long this project takes. But nevertheless, this is the area that I'm working with. What I will actually do now is I'll hop over into my test world and give you a run through on the different components of the sorting system. And then I'll explain to you how I've set it all up. So we can hop over into the test world now. Okay, so for you lot that have been with me for a while, you probably know this area. This is where I've done my original testing on our original sorting system, as well as our towers for our old world. But this is a new world, so what we are comprising the entire sorting system out of is that we're going to be having this sorter in that will then divide anything we throw into the main chest into stackables, shulkers and unstackables. The shulkers will then get fed into this system, which is the shulker unloader, and when this unloads it, this will then feed the empty shulkers back into a separate chest, and then the stackables slash unstackables will then get fed back through this first system, which will then filter out the stackables to unstackables. So that way, if we do have shovels or boats or anything in shulkers, they're not going to get jammed up or stuck in the system or end up in the overflow. They're just going to end up in our unstackable chest that we're going to have in our main section. And then the stackable section then goes through a system where it will go through a standard bunch of normal item filters, filter out the mass things, and then it will filter through this system here. Now, this system, I can't remember the name. I will put the details in the description of this video and the links to the video who the person who designed this. I can't remember it off the top of my head, unfortunately. But this is the multi-item sorter, where the top chest here is actually the filter chest, and then it will filter anything that goes through that filter into these chests down here. The way that this works is by creating a temporary filter, which I didn't even realize was possible within Minecraft, but yeah, it is, and it's extremely handy. So when the stackable items come through this chest here, which is the main line, this actually segments it so you only have one item coming through the system at any given point. So if we have say blocks of redstone come through, it will come through this hopper chain here, and it will create a temporary filter here, and then when this redstone block notices that this filter has a redstone block in, it will then drop a block into it, and this one will then run into this dropper, which will then feed back round up to here and feed back into the chest, and it will replenish this one, so it's got 2 until the filter is empty, and this one will always end up having 2 in. So it creates temporary filters going along the line using these filter chests, which says 4 with blockers barring the 2 items, and you have to have 2 items in each slot that you're planning on filtering in the chest below. This is going to be our main bulk of our storage system. This allows us to store many items in basically 54 different items within a separate 4 chest segment. So obviously we're going to be splitting all of our colors into different segments, and then rather than having one individual one for like clay, glass, terracotta, we're just going to have all the pinks, all the blues, all the reds, all the oranges. That way, if I'm looking for a particular color, I know exactly where to go, rather than having to go to 10 different chests to find it all out. And then this section here is the standard impulse item filter, which is what we're going to be having as our secondary main storage. And then you probably know this system here, which is our deep storage, which is our shulker loader, which will then load all of the excess blocks. So I'll quickly give you the run through. This is what we're planning on building in that cavern. As you can see, it's absolutely massive, and all the components are here ready to go. So when we put the items in the input chest, they will then feed through to this section here, which will divide the unstackable shulkers and stackables. Shulkers will then feed into the shulker unloader. The shulker unloader, empty shulkers, will then feed back up to here, which will be the empty shulkers chest, which is our next to our input chest. And then we have the non-stackables. Well, the stackables then get fed back through the original system to then split up the stackables and non-stackables, and then the non-stackables will then get fed back through up over to here, which is our boats and tools and so on. And then the stackables will then feed down into this water stream here, which then feeds up here and then goes across these standard impulse item filters. The standard impulse item filters are going to be storing stuff like stone, cobblestone, sand, and so on and so forth. The stuff that you mine and get lots of without an issue. And then it will then feed through to our main bulk storage, which is going to be all of these separate segments. And there is a lot. Like, I made sure that I had enough. I made a complete list of the items that I wanted filtered, and then I added an extra 4 segments on for extra items that I didn't think of at the time. And once it's fed through every single one of these segments, it will then come all the way to the end and drop down into this water stream, which will then feed through all the way back over here to these shulker loaders. The shulker loaders are here as a backup from our impulse item filters. And if you're wondering how comes I got both here, one is so that if I'm looking for sand or cobblestone or stuff like that to do crafts with next to my main area, that way I've got easy access without having to take shulkers out, place them, take the items out and craft stuff. I've just got easy access to them, so this is where the items go through first to filter through. So, and I think that once these chests are full with the sand and cobblestone and stone and such, they'll then obviously make all their way all the way over to this area here for deep storage, and this is going to be our excess. So if we need a lot of stone or a lot of cobblestone for anything, we just come and grab a few shulkers and head off to the project. And then after it's fed through here, if there's been no room in the impulse item filter, our storage system, or this, which is obviously going to happen whilst I'm doing the teething process of remembering what items I've not filtered out, they'll then come back through here, drop into this water stream, go all the way back up here to this item elevator, which then comes to our overflow chest. And as you can see, there are items here because I wanted to do a test, and I've got 3 shulkers here filled with different random items. So if we go and put these 3 shulkers in, they'll come down here and then they'll get fed through to our shulker unloader. The items, the stackables and empty shulkers will eventually get fed through, and then the items will get spat out. Some of them will get spat out here to go through our main system, and then some of them will get fed up to the chest just there. So as you can see, we've got all of the rails making their rounds again. They'll come all the way around here, go up into this separate set of double chests, and I've daisy changed the words. Oh my god, I'm trying to speak so quickly to keep up with the machine. I've daisy changed the double chest in order to give us enough storage in order for it to work through the system. And working through the system, you can see all of these observers trying to find spots for it. And because there's no spots in these filter chests for the items, it's just going to continuously go all the way around until it meets its maker right at the end down here. And we have still got items coming through. Some of these are going to be filtered out, like I do believe I've got stone and stuff being filtered into some of these chests. So we've got redstone comparators, and we've got wood and stone and diorite. Some of them I did actually put filters in just to make sure that they was all working fine, and everything is working fine. Let's see where our daisy chain is at the moment. I've completely lost. Oh, there we go. So all the way up to here, and these are obviously the rails that I made sure haven't got a spot to go anywhere. And obviously we're trying to do lag effectiveness by using the composters on top of hoppers. Now, in the cavern, I am obviously going to have to put a lot of light sources up here to counteract the blinking lights of the observers, but they are making their rounds through. Now, this sorting system works at the speed of a hopper chain, and that is extremely quick for a multi-item sorter, rather than it for giving it time to look for the spot inside the chest beforehand. It is running very, very quickly, as quick as a hopper can pull from a dropper, sort of quickly. So droppers can fire quicker than hoppers can pull, provided it's given the right impulse at the right time. And then it will come all the way down here, and then we've got our auto dispensers or auto droppers dropping the rails into this water stream, which then go through our deep storage. Now obviously deep storage isn't picking up rails, so it's going to make its way all the way across, and then drop all this way through this water stream, which then goes to this separate set of a dropper elevator, which then gets pushed all the way up the elevator into this overflow chest. And this is where we're seeing the end product of our powered rail. We should have a bunch more tools. Yep. So we've got 2 of everything in there. Empty shulkers. We've got 6 empty shulkers in there. Happy days. That's the last of our buckets, which are coming through the system now. So yeah, everything I've double tested and triple tested the entire system to make sure that it does work before going ahead with it. But nevertheless, this is the system that we're going for, and it's going to take a little while to dig out that area. So rather than me doing a time lapse of digging it out, because it's deep slate, it's going to take forever regardless if I've got a beacon set up or not. I will have a beacon set up, so I'm going to crack on, get that area dug out, hopefully rope some people into helping me. I'm praying I'm able to do that, because digging out all that deep slate by myself, because this is meant to be the floor layer, like where this block is. So all of this area underneath I need to dig out, just in order to do the water streams and the deep storage. And then I'll think of a decorational piece for in the middle there. I'm thinking like a very large aquarium from underneath, considering I'm going to be planning to turn the entire cave into like a lush cavern. But yeah, this is going to be our storage system for upgrading our current system, which is honestly just absolute garbage. I can't stand our current system because trying to find stuff and put stuff away is such a nightmare. If I could just come here and drop my inventory into here, and even if I accidentally drop a tool into here, it will then just come back up to here so I could grab it back out. But yeah, that's our system, and that's what we're going for. So I will meet you after I finish digging that area out, and we'll probably jump into a time lapse of me actually building this monstrosity of a machine. And I will be sure to put the tutorial for the sorter systems, which I think are extremely compact and very, very handy to have. You can arrange them however you like, and in the tutorial he does actually go through how everything sort of works within a sense, but he doesn't really go over the fact of how the sorter sorts out from a chest and why it doesn't pull out all of these blocker blocks. It's because it's got temporary filter lines, just in case you're wondering. But yeah, this is going to be the system that we're putting in, and I will catch you once we're ready to jump in a time lapse. So probably catch you back in a couple of days. So yeah, see ya. Oh my god, guys, it's taken a very long time. It's a better part of about a week now, so this video is probably overshot my target of when I wanted to go out, and this has pretty much been the only thing I've worked on in that time. I did have Sai come over. Sai actually helped me dig out a very large portion and flatten it out and get it all ready. She also helped me do a bunch of the wooden sword crafting that had to be in a bunch of the barrels for the sorter. And also, if you're wondering who the person who designed the multi-item sorter, the ones that sits above all of these units here, that is RaPsCaLLioN. I do believe it's a joint effort between him and a number of people on the storage systems Discord server that he's a part of. And I have actually run items through it to make sure. Now, obviously, all of the filter chests are just filled with blockers at the moment because I've not started moving anything down here. So we've got all of our blockers in here, and we're just using scaffolding because it's very cheap, cheerful, and very well, I had the stuff on me to craft that much of it in order to fill all the chests. So yeah, I did actually have to go to the gold farm, and I just stood there at the gold farm for the better part of about 3 hours to get levels in order to do the naming of all the items. So I also used about 30 of their levels to do all of the filter line items, because obviously you've got filters underneath each one of them double chests, as well as all of the filter lines for the impulse item filters, which is up here as well as down there above the deep storage units. They are all in place. I've not filled them with shulkers. I've not started moving any stuff down here yet, but I thought I'd bring you back after the time lapse just to show you that we are making headway. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to sort of neaten up the edges of inside of here. By the way, we are getting like a passive feed of glow ink and slime balls from slime spawning in here, as well as glow inks, not glow inks, the glow squids spawning in the water streams. But what can we throw in here that we can get a demonstration of? So if we go, say, 16 golden carrots, and what will happen is I pretty much walked you through this in the test world. They will sort of get fed through here, and they will work their way up to this water column here, and then they'll come up and then across the standard impulse item sorter. This is going to be for our basic bulk storage, so stone, deep slate, diorite, granite, gravel, dirt, stands, just so I've got easy access to it before it makes its way over to these multi-item sorters. And the multi-item sorters will obviously kick the stuff around, and it takes a fairly reasonable time for one item to make its way all the way around the entire system, if the equivalent of, I do believe, around about 2.5 minutes, which isn't that bad. But obviously if I'm unloading like 10-12 shulkers worth of stuff into the system, it's going to take a moment or two to process everything, unfortunately, but that's not a problem. It saves me the headache of having to go into 100 different chests in order to organize stuff, and this way I've got very easy access to everything that I need. And yeah, so this will obviously make its way round the hopper chains. I've tried to be sort of lag efficient by putting composters up there. I can still put composters on these hopper chains. They're the secondary overflow. So once the 5 double chests are full, the secondary overflow will come into action, and even if the stuff is in the filter chest, it will still then run back through to the overflow to let me know that there's no more room in them chests. But then what happens with this is the items obviously come all the way around here. They will make their way all the way over to this auto dropper, which will then kick the items down into a water stream down there. So if we just step back, otherwise we're going to end up picking up the items. By the way, I had to problem solve this, and it took around about 3 hours for me to problem solve one fault, and it was because one of the droppers weren't facing the right way. So although items were making it through because the hoppers were picking up some of the items, there we go, there's all of our carrots coming through, it was still losing about 60% of the items that I was testing it, like going through the whole system with. And yeah, it was driving me insane because I couldn't figure out why it was doing it, and it just took me so long to find out exactly where it was going wrong. I actually had to sort of hop into Spectator just in order to double check chests and hoppers and droppers, and I finally came across a section that actually had the issue, which was I think it's the 4th from end section of the multi-item sorter. Now, I don't know if we've missed the carrots going past that section, but if we have, they should be, yeah, there, 16 golden carrots. So everything's running through perfectly fine. But now it's the case that we'll need to painstakingly bring everything down from the tree house down to here, set the filters, and then run the items through the system and start filling up the sort of all the chests. So I guess I'll probably catch you back off. I also want to neaten up all of the edges and probably put a glass roof in over this little section here, as well as neaten up the edges of the deep storage area and probably have a glass wall on the inside, because there is something that I want to do with the main body area of this area for a cosmetic thing, and yeah, that's just going to be for a later episode. But for now, I will just do a quick jump cut in order to get all of the stuff down here sorted and ready to go, and then I'll bring you back. So yeah, catch you back in a bit. Alright then guys, so after it took around about 2 to 3 days to get all of the filters and everything transferred from the tree house down to here, and yeah, I did actually have scaffolding up just so I can access all of the filters before, but I've just torn it all down just so you get a better view. I did encase the sorter down here in glass, as well as our deep storage unit at the back in glass. And the deep storage units at the back here, we have actually still got a few more free spots. So we've got 3 more free spots there, and most of the items that you sort of gather in bulk have already been put down there. Excuse me. And then for our standard impulse item filters, I did actually have to expand it by 2 chests on either side, because I didn't actually allow for, and I initially planned it, I didn't allow for, I believe, calcite, red sand, tuff, or stone bricks, I think was the 4 that I didn't allow for. So I expanded it just so I had more than enough room for it. I am obviously still getting bits and bobs through the filter that, unless I've got 2 of, like the seeds I don't really want to put into the system because they are garbage, and the glowing sacks, regardless, I've got them on a filter, but because squids keep on spawning in the water streams, sometimes they're spawning in the water stream past the point where the filter is, so we're still going to end up getting them in the overflow. And then for our non-stackable items like armor, shulker boxes and death totems, mob heads and banners and all that sort of stuff, I've just dug out like a little room back here. Now obviously I'm going to do a lot of thinking about how I want to approach this decoration wise, because I want to cover up I don't know if I want to cover up the guts of the sorting system up above, or if I want to leave that exposed and just concentrate on terraforming the ground along the bottom. Now behind the chest I have got strips of sea lanterns with I backed it with cobbled deep slate just so that we couldn't see through and past the chest when we're looking at them, just so it gives a more sort of unified look to them. And so when it comes to decorating, I will obviously have pillars or something coming up in between every section of the chest. At the back end we've got the 16 different colour variations. It took me a while to sort out because I needed 2 of every coloured block in order to set the filters for them. So yeah, that actually took a while to sort that out. As I get more flowers and such, I'm going to be adding that to that one. More food types will be added to this one. Now I have actually gone round and adjusted the sorting system. A few of the timings are off, so every now and again, because it's on a server and it's not been thoroughly tested on servers, especially when it's this size, and oh my god, the slimes are driving me insane here, by the way. Because every single time there's a save lag spike, there's the hopper underneath the filter line has just a moment longer in order to pull an item down into the section of chest where it doesn't belong, which is why every now and again you'll get 1 or 2 items. So it's around about a 5%. This grass block is just haunting me as well. It's around about a 5% of the items will end up in the wrong chest. So what I end up doing is if I see any of them in the wrong chest, like blackstone shouldn't be there, gold one's fine, copper one's fine, that valuable one's fine, redstone is all fine. I've had to split that up into multiple different ones. Rail's fine, like the honey blocks and that gold and the blackstone. So a saving spike would have happened when a bunch of items was passing through this hopper chain. And then all I'll do is grab all of these and I'll just throw them back through the filter system, and then it will just do another round. I did have to swap out 2 of the auto dispensing systems, one on this end, because initially the bulk storage is it was running off. It runs off of basically a standard impulse item filter. If you're wondering why the slimes are blue, by the way, it's just a texture pack. It runs off a standard impulse item filter. Now, if you know anything about them, you are probably well aware that you can only feed items across it so quickly in order for them to be able to pick them up at a consistent rate. So where I had the auto dispenser come in from this dropper here, I've swapped it out for a different redstone clock that is just long enough to extend the sort of time in between items dropping in. I also I adjusted the input up there slightly, so rather than it working off a hopper pull rate, it works off a hopper push rate, which is around about 50% of the speed. I swapped out another auto dropper unit that was down below running off the observer clock, swapped it out for the same clock that I've put on that one, because it runs into a water stream that comes up here and runs across these impulse item filters, because it was missing initially the bulk storage stuff. It was missing around about 50% of it, and 50% of it was ending up in the chest. So I'm fairly sure as I go forward I am obviously going to have to tweak this bit by bit just a little bit more to make it a little bit more consistent and sort of foolproof. That is fine. For some reason I had a really weird issue. I don't know if it was I would put it down to user error, because for some reason I had a double rail filter in this one, and on the rail one I had a double grass filter, and I don't know what was going on in my head, but yeah, but somehow, and it was trolling me massively, because I thought I'd set the things, and every single time I was looking in this chest I was getting rail in, and every time I was looking in the rail chest I was getting grass in, and it took around about 3 times running it through the system before I thought, you know what, let me just check the filter line to make sure. But yeah, I'm quite happy with the progress we made today. It is a massive leap forward compared to the system or lack of system that we had in our tree house. I will utilize the tree house for something else. I may turn it into an enchanting area with all of my books and stuff, or I may just turn it into a mini farm for something. I'm not 100% sure, because it's not a massive amount of room. So yeah, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be very restricted on space. But nevertheless, oh yeah, before I head off, this is the little room that I dug out to put all of our non-stackables. So we got our armor, the player heads and stuff. These are all of the pixel arts that Sizzle's been working on, which I really love. The skull one with the mushrooms actually is inspiring me to want to build a build with that sort of in mind, with like a massive skull with natural mushrooms and maybe some trees and stuff growing through the skull would look really cool. And then you got Mimikyu that he made for Clowd. He made me the Ice Cube one for Christmas. He done a Happy New Year one. He done a Pokemon themed Christmas one, which is really good. And then you've got the I Choose You one, which is 2 Pikachus. And yeah, I really like them. Hopefully he does more, because I would really like to continue expanding the floor with just the pixel arts. I really do like it, and they come out really well when they're on the floor if you're using the glow item frames. Now most of my item frames are glow item frames, so I'm fairly sure in shaders it will look pretty cool as well. I'm not even going to attempt looking in this area in shaders at the moment, not until I've done decent amount of lighting, because the lighting that comes from sea lanterns and torches is atrocious when it's underground. So unless I do some tweaks to make it look a little bit better, shaders is not going to be our friend here. But yeah, nevertheless, hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode. It's been very redstone intensive, a lot of talking, more than building, but we managed to get a massive amount done, and my god, am I going to have to replenish some of my redstone supply. I have actually replenished quite a lot of it thanks to Jack and their contribution from their redstone shop. So thank you very much, and yeah, hopefully you all had a good new year, and hopefully I will continue to see you during this year. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and hopefully I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye bye.